Hi, scapegoats are made to feel less than. They're labeled as the bad one. Oftentimes they are left out. They carry the shame within the family system or within whatever relationship they're being scapegoated in, and they're actually carrying a very painful big secret. Hi, my name is Olivia, and I'm passionate about helping you understand what relational trauma is so that you can heal and grow and move on. So today, everything is coming from my book, A Scapegoat No More Forever. I will put a QR code on the screen, and the link is always in the description. It's available on Amazon. So if you look at a scapegoat, it is a lonely journey, and they are oftentimes left out and treated poorly. And poor treatment of the scapegoat within the system is actually encouraged. So a scapegoat can be stolen from, they can be lied about, they can be hit, they can be physically attacked, verbally attacked, and the poor treatment is not corrected. So whoever in the system is doing that to them, there's not usually a consequence. It's allowed. And like I said, a lot of times it's encouraged. So the more the scapegoat can be blamed for it and hated over it, then the more the person who is assigning those roles feels validated in their choice of making them a scapegoat. So if I can watch them get treated bad, then it takes, this away from me where I feel like, are you the scapegoat? I get to feel like, yeah, see, even this person agrees that you're terrible. Even this person agrees that you have this coming. It is you. So it's just kind of like reinforcing those roles and validating the fact that you are bad. So the scapegoats are carrying all of this while they are trying to love those who are treating them like they hate them. That's why it's so painful. And I think as an adult, when you start trying to talk about this, you're talking about pain that you felt since you were like this little tiny person, but now it's coming out of your adult mouth. So when your adult mouth is talking about this pain from being this little tiny guy, then it's kind of like people don't want to hear it, or it's off-putting, or it's uncomfortable. And of course it is. It's so uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to talk about. But if you really think, but think of that happening to a small child. Think of a child's mother doing that to the child. Think of the child's father doing that to the child. Think of the family allowing that kid to get hit, allowing that kid to be, taken advantage of and to be used and discarded over and over again. That's really the pain that the adult you is trying to give voice to. And that's why it hurts so much when somebody can't or won't hear it. And this is where it's so powerful to learn to stop sharing your story with those that don't have respect for you, for those that don't have respect for where you've been and what you've been through. I'll put a link or a card, I guess they're called. I will put a card of another video talking about how to stop defending and explaining yourself, because it's so powerful when that clicks for us. Like, oh yeah, okay, I don't need you to understand my story. I don't need you to save me. I can save myself, and I can get through this, with my own resources, with the own help that I'm going to find that's going to help me through it. I don't need you to understand for me to be okay. So in looking at a scapegoat's journey and these things that, you go through when you've been scapegoated, and how the system just keeps operating and just keeps letting time go by, you kind of feel like it's going to end at some point, or someday things are going to change, or they're going to be different, but it usually doesn't. It doesn't change. It's not any different. It tends to get worse. And when you bring in that next generation, let's say that I was a scapegoat, I grow up and I have kids, there's a really good chance that one of my children is going to replace that role, especially if I'm not around. So it's not that it's ever goes away. It can be transferred, but there's a good chance you're going to maintain that role as long as you are within the system. And it's not that boundaries that I've ever seen can keep you within that system and keep that role absent. It's usually, the boundary to the point where you're exiting. You've crossed this line. I've said this, and now I'm around you less. And even though I'm around you less, you're just going to work harder at your smear campaign, or you're going to work harder at making sure I'm discredited to other people. And so you're ruining all my relationships behind my back. And then when I come around again, people are different and I don't really understand it. So it's not that my absence is making it stop. They're usually just upping the ante behind the scenes. And then when I come back around, then it's weird again. So this is why when scapegoats truly make that choice to stop being scapegoated, A lot of times, if I don't want the headache, if I don't want the nightmares, if I don't want to have to deal with this anymore, it's usually like a clean break, which is such a hard decision to make. That is such a painful, unfortunate decision that some scapegoats have to make, because leaving, just like leaving anything, is not easy. And if you're already programmed for that toxic guilt and that toxic shame, then all of that's going to rear up and really go to work on your mental health while you're trying to get out of it. And this is when they're sending in the flying monkeys who are guilting you, reminding you of their mortality or how innocent they are, when really they're not innocent. Someone who is causing you to be a scapegoat, someone who's assigning that role, they're dumping that shame on you, they're playing games with you, they're toying with your life, whether that's calling the police on you or trying to break up your marriage or trying to turn your children against you or turning the other members of the family against you. They know what they're doing. They're not innocent of their behavior. They're very aware of their behavior. So, that's another thing that's really hard to kind of get through our heads, for lack of a better way to put it. It's really hard to accept. It's really hard to wrap your brain around. That's a better way to put it. It's hard to wrap your brain around the fact that they are doing this to you intentionally and on purpose. And so when we defend and explain ourselves, a lot of time that comes from they're playing that they're naive or they're playing that they don't understand what they're doing. So you're constantly like, okay, so you said that you were going to stop doing this, and then I came in and you did this again. And can you see how that's painful? And they're like, yeah, I guess I could see that's painful. Or they're going to flip it on you like, no, it's because you, ABC, right? They can go one of two ways, but either way, you're caught up in believing they don't understand. And that's how we're programmed to explain and defend ourselves. When the reality is, if you look at how many times it's been explained, how many times it's been mapped out, how many times you've made yourself clear, how many times they said it was going to stop and they don't, then it's kind of like, okay, at this point, it's a choice and you do know what you're doing. You do know what you're doing. And it's so great for those who get to hear, you're right, and I do that to you. And that just is such a rare bird. That's a rare thing that's going to cross your path if you're a scapegoat. But once you hear that from the mouth of your tormentor, you can't unhear it. And then you start kind of Rolodexing all these moments and you're just like, wow, you were intentionally messing with me and doing that to me on purpose for all of these years. You saw how painful it was and you didn't care. So that's one of the biggest secrets that scapegoats keep, is just how poorly their family is treating them. They don't often tell people. I think once they start telling people, then you get into that explaining and defending and trying to make yourself innocent rather than just saying what it is that happened to you, because we're so programmed to explain and defend that it ends up being that people don't believe us. People can scapegoat us further. People can shame us. And then that can also send us running back. And so we don't want to try to believe that I need you to understand where I'm coming from, what happened to me. Because really what we're saying is, please don't think I'm bad because then you're going to leave me too. Instead, it's understanding this is the truth. These are the decisions I've made. And, that is just how it is. And I leave it there. And I leave it for you to choose whatever you're going to choose, because it's not up to me what you choose. So when you have clear boundaries with yourself, and I will put a card for the video of how to stop defending and explaining yourself, because that is a big problem for us and it does keep us stuck. It keeps us trapped. So that big secret is just how poor our own family's treating us. And you're still not going to hear a lot of that from a scapegoat. And part of it's because we've learned doesn't work to try to share. And hopefully part of it comes from healing. But while you're in it, especially, people don't often know. I think when you're younger and like your friends come over, they see it because it does slip out and it is embarrassing. And they're like, whoa, what's up with your family? And then you're like, oh, great. Now you're going to start treating me like that too. But good friends don't. That's a whole nother something. So just realizing, okay, that's my biggest secret, is just how bad my family's treating me. And you don't have to keep that secret. It's not your job to be the shame bearer or the secret keeper. You get to be a person. It's not your job to be innocent either. You just get to be a person. You can find all of this and more again from my book, A Scapegoat No More Forever. The link is in the description, and there's also a link to a full course that's available where I walk you through all of it in the book. And even though it's not therapy, it's just educational. It's for your ability to learn and educate yourself, because it's true. There really is power in knowledge and understanding. So I'll put some more videos up for you to go and watch to learn more about relational trauma. Take good care, and I'm going to see you in the next one.